Antonio Brown, Antonio Brown, Antonio Brown, Antonio Brown, and Antonio Brown. Those are the NFL news articles of the day. In case you've been living under a rock, this to me is probably the most um, important topic before I get into the AFC West, because this is the last NFL preview prediction. With the by the time this uploads, you'll probably be seeing it on NFL Sunday. But this is the last upload before the NFL season kicks off, and the last division preview. And I want to say thank you to everybody that has supported and watched the videos. Tell me you disagree. Tell me why you hate me, you like me, any of those sort of things. But the most important topic we're gonna go over before we get into this is Antonio Brown. Yes, he had the helmet situation. First off, when you threaten a GM and you threaten to hit a GM, regardless of the establishment, that's not okay. So I don't really know how he thought that that was going to go. Um, then they had plans to suspend him for just a game, so he would have missed Monday's opener. And then he apologized publicly, which gave him some good grace. Still thought he was a lunatic. And then he posts on Instagram this nonchalant thing and said, "Release me," and tagged the Raiders. And he got his wish. I think the Raiders handled this very good. I think he's a little bit of a nutcase. I think we all kind of know this. He's very bipolar, and I don't really know what his issue is, as talented as he is. For someone like him to get released by a team, he lost $30 million, so he is taking a pay cut on his new team. And then a couple hours later, the news, Bill Belichick just pulled off the heist of the century, and Antonio Brown and Tom Brady makes me want to bark, because that creates unfairness for so many other teams. That is, that is going to be, it's going to be lethal. And I think Belichick is going to definitely put him in line, because the Patriots don't play any games. If Brown tries any of his bullshit, Belichick's just going to shake his hand if he feels like it and tell him to pack his bags and get out. So they gave him a 1-year deal, $15 million non-guaranteed to my knowledge. And it's been a crazy whirlwind of a day last couple days in the Antonio Brown saga, which has taken over the NFL news. Unfortunately, I don't believe that he can play tomorrow night, because New England, I believe, is hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers on the Sunday Night Football opener. So we probably won't see him till week 2. I really have no words. Just when you think the Patriots are going to get older and they lose one player, they put probably toe-in-toe next to Julio, the best receiver in the league, next to the best quarterback of all time. And that is really scary. So Julio Jones also got his extension as well. But we're going to be talking about the AFC West, and I'll get into that in a little bit. This is the hardest division in football to win for any team, and I feel like there are teams such as the Broncos that are very good, but they might finish third in this division. They're a sleeper team. Some people will tell you otherwise. But Joe Flacco does come to the Denver Broncos this year. Case Keenum didn't work out so well last year. He kind of struggled before. They did get Joe Flacco, and regardless of what you say, he is a Super Bowl winning quarterback with that veteran presence. So I think that he's going to, he looked very good in preseason. Any of you watch his preseason games? I don't really watch preseason, but I just follow news and those type of things, highlights. So I think Joe Flacco is going to be good for this Broncos team. They also have, but if Flacco goes down, there could definitely be a question mark there, because he did go down last year when he was playing for the Ravens. But I definitely think that Joe Flacco is going to help this Denver offense. Jawan James was also on that O-line, but their O-line is kind of weak, and that provides some of the question marks. Also, their running back position, Royce Freeman was originally their running back last year, but he did go down, and the next man up mentality gave Philip Lindsay a chance to shine with the Broncos, and he absolutely conquered, and I don't really think there's any reason to think that Philip Lindsay won't do it again this year. He is going to be taking that starting spot as the running back, but they're going to need more from Booker and some other guys kind of to step up, because Lindsey, you don't want him to be killing himself there as the running back for the Broncos. But I think that their run game is going to be very strong this year. The O-line needs a little bit of help, and also Flacco as well. Their receivers are a little bit also of a question mark. They have second-year receivers, Cortland Sutton and Hamilton, and Tim Patrick as well are going to be coming back. They're going to need Emmanuel Sanders, who was their lead receiver to make a complete recovery after getting injured, and they also drafted a tight end as well. So you got some new names, some familiar names in the receiving corps for the Denver Broncos in the upcoming season as well. So I think the Broncos are going to have their offense is going to be pretty set, but they do have some question marks, and it's all going to be who steps up and does what. The line is a little bit under construction. They're all Derek Wolfe, Shelby Harris, and Adam Gotsis is also, all three of those players, to my knowledge, are in the contract years coming up. They also have somebody that they drafted third round for the defensive line. So their defensive line has a bunch of players that are going to be hungry to prove themselves this year, and I think that regardless of what happens, their defensive line could strongly change proceeding into next year for this Denver Broncos team. But one of their strongest, if not their strongest, assets of the team is the linebacker position. You have Bradley Chubb, who is a very good linebacker, and he's going to be a complement to maybe the best pass rusher in the NFL. The man who single-handedly won a Super Bowl pretty much by himself, Von Miller. He doesn't really need any introduction. Von Miller is really the man in Denver and the NFL as well. So their pass rush is going to be ultimately strong this year, I think, for the Denver Broncos. And I don't really know if the ceiling could get much higher for Von Miller, but each year he tends to outdo himself. They backer Josie Jewell as well. It's a little bit of a question mark there, and they also released Brandon Marshall last year, who was just cut by the Oakland Raiders. So the inside linebacker is a little bit of a question, but their pass rush is going to be really good this year, I think. And their secondary is getting some new names as well. Also returning is one of the best corners in the league, Chris Harris Jr., who does not get enough credit, I feel like. He is a dog, and he is awesome. They added Bryce Callahan and also signed Kareem Jackson as well. So this Denver team, to me, is going to be strictly a defensive team. And that's kind of what we know the Broncos to be. They got some question marks on offense. Their defensive line is going to be mixing and matching a lot this year. But their linebacking core and their secondary should be very great this year for the Denver Broncos. But in terms of their offense, you know, you got some questions at wide receiver, and you have to see what you're going to get from the O-line. I think Joe Flacco will be fine for the Denver Broncos as long as he stays on the field. But their offense has to step up. But their defense is good as well, also can improve. But I think the Broncos are a team that a lot of people are going to be sleeping on this year, and I highly urge you to not do that. I think the Broncos are a very good football team, and I don't think they get the credit they deserve because they're overshadowed by two juggernauts in the AFC West. He's going to win the AFC West, and I don't think anyone will really disagree with me here, is the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, if you could give a player a Hall of Fame induction after one season, he would be the one to do it. Mahomes is just unbelievable the way he plays. 50 and 5,000, 50 touchdowns, 5,000 yards. That's really enough said. It was his first year as a starter, and if Patrick Mahomes can get any better, damn, this Chiefs team is going to be really, really good. He's the heart and soul of this offense, and he's just shown to do some amazing things, especially as a kid. And it's going to be exciting to see what Patrick Mahomes does as quarterback this year coming up for the Chiefs. Their running back, they have Damian Williams, is going to probably win the role. He was fantastic in the final 5 games of the season after the team released Kareem Hunt after his whole entire situation. But they also added an underrated player in Carlos Hyde. Unfortunately, he's coming off his worst season in his career, but Carlos Hyde was very good. And I did like Carlos Hyde on the San Francisco 49ers a few years back. So I think that their running back position is going to be really strong despite losing Kareem Hunt. And their receiving core, they have probably one of the best receiving cores in the league, and that's based strictly off of 2 players. They have the best tight end in Travis Kelce. The guy's unbelievable. Him and Zach Ertz are in my top 2 dogs as the tight end position. But Travis Kelce is coming off ankle surgery, but there's no reason to believe that he won't repeat the type of stats and the type of influence he had in the offense going forward. You also have Tyreek Hill, who is the fastest player probably in the NFL and the most explosive player. Tyreek Hill is one of those guys, when you look at him, he can take a 5-yard curl pass or a 5-yard slant pass, 80 yards, and turn it into a touchdown. He just has that explosiveness, and I think a lot of people want to have players like that. He can take almost any football to the crib. Tyreek Hill is explosive, and he's a fantastic wide receiver as well. But there are some off-the-field issues that have been happening with Tyreek Hill, and he's going to have to try to keep those to the side as well. Majority of this team's offensive line comes back, so they're going to be familiar as well, even though Patrick Mahomes is a fantastic quarterback out of the pocket, and he's very mobile, and he just has great field vision along the field, you know. And their defensive line as well is getting a major name in Frank Clark. He was a key offseason move for the Kansas City Chiefs, getting him as a fantastic pass rusher. They have Alex Okafor. Chris Jones had a breakout season last year. He had 15.5 sacks as a DT, and Xavier Williams is good at run stopping. So this team is a very strong defensive line, rallied behind by a very strong, one of the best offenses in the league. Linebacker, you have Anthony Hitchens, was injured, but he still managed to get 100-plus tackles. We're going to see how he comes back. And their secondary was a little bit bad against pass, but they are adding Tyrann Mathieu, who is a ball-hawking safety as well, and Bashard Breeland and Kendall Fuller are going to be at corner. So the secondary is a little bit of a question mark for me for the Kansas City Chiefs, and their linebacking as well. But their pass rush should be very good under Frank Clark, and they have great names there, Chris Jones as well, and they have one of the most high-powered offenses in the league. This Kansas City Chiefs team is going to win the AFC West, and there's no doubt about it. They may even be winning a Super Bowl this year. But I think the addition of Brown to the New England Patriots is really a game changer for the league. The LA Chargers are going to be the runners-up in this division, and they can also take it as well. Phillip Rivers was just phenomenal last year. He has a team around him now, and you see what happens when Phillip Rivers, who hadn't had a team around him for a while, elevates his game, but he was always a fantastic quarterback. He did pass for over 4,000 yards, and I think they're also adding Tyrod Taylor. So in the unfortunate event that Phillip Rivers does go down, they do have a slightly average quarterback, above average maybe even to some of you, to take that role. But hopefully Phillip Rivers continues his phenomenal year. Best running backs in the league. But he is the clock is ticking, and his holdout has screwed this team a little bit. I don't like when players hold out. I think that at the end of the day, you signed a contract. You chose to sign that contract, and you can certainly ask for more money. And I think that all players are entitled to do so. But don't sit out, because that hurts the team, and you're only hurting yourself in the end. Because as you've seen, Antonio Brown just lost $15 million. Even though he may have signed with New England, he lost $15 million. And there are players that have Le'Veon Bell as well, lost so much money doing that as well. So Melvin Gordon's on that holdout. He had 1,300-plus yards last year. Austin Eckler is a solid backup, so in the event that Gordon does not get this deal that he desires, he is expecting from, you can have Austin Eckler as well, probably taking on that run. The receivers, Keenan Allen is a monster. He's one of the best receivers in the league. Michael Williams had 10 touchdowns last year as well, and 600-plus yards. So the receiving core is great, and you have Phillip Rivers there as well, and the running back game is great too. So this Chargers offense really needs to a playoff game last year against the Patriots. They were absolutely roasted, beyond roasting. But that is a Tom Brady special. When anybody wants to step up and take on Brady, that's what's going to happen. But their offense looks really good. Where Travis Benjamin is going to be an option as well. Their O-line is coming back as well. Their defensive line, they have a very strong defensive line. You have Joey Bosa, who's a beast pass rusher, and Melvin Ingram, too. They're a great combo. Brandon Membane is coming for his 14th season, and the guy sucks in Madden. I don't know why, but I have him in my fantasy league, and he's god-awful. In the linebacking core, you can have Denzel Perryman locking down the middle. Thomas Davis as well. And Jatavius Brown had 100-plus tackles last year, so they got good linebackers, and they have a very good pass rush. Their secondary, Derwin James is a beast. He had 100-plus tackles last year, and Corey Hayward as well, and Desmond King is lethal. So this team has a very good defense. Their secondary, linebackers, and defensive line have a great pass rush as well. Good receivers. There's no reason that this team can't make the playoffs and maybe even a Super Bowl run, but I think part of the problem is that Phillip Rivers, I don't know if he gets to the jitters or whatever it is, but in the playoffs, he does struggle a lot, and certain players aren't just designed for the playoffs. I think that Peyton Manning was good in his playoff runs, but I just think that he was never the quarterback that he was in the regular season and the postseason, where Eli Manning, they kind of switched. Eli was a fantastic postseason quarterback where he didn't really produce as much in the regular season. Again, that's just my opinion. But this Chargers team is going to be very good, and they'll be right next to Kansas City. But I think Kansas City just has that little that LA does not have, and that's why I am picking them to take the division, but the Chargers are going to be very good. Last but not least, the Hard Knocks team, the Oakland Raiders. This is the team that they might be one of the worst teams in the league this year. They made some bad decisions, I think, in the offseason. I think they really should have signed Keelan Doss. He ended up getting a job with Jacksonville, I believe. I think they really should have signed that kid. I think he showed a lot in Hard Knocks, but, everybody can't make the team. Knock on wood if you're with me. John Gruden is a mastermind of football, and it showed a lot in Hard Knocks. I liked Hard Knocks this year. I thought it was short. I really didn't even know how many episodes there were. I think there were only 5. Gruden's smart. He knows what he's doing. Derek Carr is solid when he's on the field. He can't get hurt this year. Derek Carr doesn't really get the credit that he deserves as quarterback, and I think this team's running with 3 quarterbacks. Mike Glennon, Nathan Peterman as well, who really showed out a lot. He had a great showing in Hard Knocks if you guys had a chance to watch that. This team's running with 3 quarterbacks in case Carr gets hurt, which is probably a likely possibility because he always tends to get hurt. Their running back is a little bit question mark. They signed Isaiah Crowell. He also had that ACL injury. I'm sorry, Doug Martin had that ACL injury, but he's coming back. They drafted Josh Jacobs, and they're going to probably be banking on him as their running back. Receiving, only thing they received today was a question mark at the wide receiver position. Antonio Brown went to New England, and they were banking on him to be his number 1 receiver. Jordy Nelson is going to be probably was their go-to last year. They also added Tyler Williams as well. So this receiving core is going to have a huge Renfro for the Oakland Raiders. He's going to be that slot receiver, that Julian Edelman-esque kind of guy. They have Trent Brown coming as well. Their defensive line, they drafted Cleenan Farrell, and they're going to be banking on him to do a lot. He does have big shoes to fill. Justin Ellis, P.J. Mars Hunt. And your linebacker position, Tahir Whitehead, was locking down. Vontaze Burfict, he's a little bit of a questionable figure. But they're going to have, I think that's bad news for them, really. I think Vontaze Burfict coming to the Oakland Raiders is going to be a problem. I think he's not going to be able to behave himself. But regardless, the Oakland Raiders are banking on Cleenan Farrell to do a lot. Vontaze Burfict could be a problem there. And their secondary, Jonathan Abram was hilarious in Hard Knocks. This guy's fucking hysterical. Jonathan Abram seems to have that safety position as well. Gavin Conley and LaMarcus Joyner as well. This Oakland Raiders team, I breezed through them because I just feel like I don't know how much there really is to talk about the Oakland Raiders. It's going to be really, really bad this year. They have some stars that need to really break out. I think John Gruden will somehow make it work. They're coming off that 4-12 season. But Kansas City's going to win this division, and like I said, before I end this, I want to say thank you to everybody for the support on these reviews. There's so much work that goes into them. There's so many notes you have to take, and people are always quick to call you out on what you said or didn't do that was right. It was a lot of fun, but we're just getting started here on the YouTube channel. We're probably going to kick it into the NBA next, and that's going to be controversial because it was one of the craziest off seasons in NBA history, I feel like. So, before I end it, my Super Bowl predictions are probably going to be the NFC. I'm going to have the New Orleans Saints there, and I think Brown's going to produce this year with Brady. I have to say that the Patriots are going to be there as well, and if not, Kansas City. But I'm going to say New England versus New Orleans in Super Bowl 53. I believe it's Super Bowl 53. Again, guys, I can't thank you enough for watching all of these videos. And we're going to kick it into the NBA. It is football season. Get locked and loaded. Best of luck to everybody and their teams. And let's rock and roll. Let's kick off.